Hi, everyone. Karen Roby here for TechRepublic. We're talking about a bias, unconscious bias in AI. Certainly it exists. We've talked about it many times. I'm happy to have Jahanzeb Ansari with me here today. He's the co-founder and CEO of Knockery. And I think what makes this really interesting and why I wanted to talk to you, Jahanzeb, is because your desire to create this company was rooted in your own personal story.
So I was actually applying to jobs and I wouldn't hear back from employers, right? I have a long ethnic name, which is John Zabe. And so my co-founder Maz is like, why don't you just anglicize it? And we went from like a variation of like Jacob, Jordan, Jason, and literally in 4 to 6 weeks, I got a job. And so, yeah, with that experience, we just felt like there's so many people that are being overlooked and that there has to be a better solution.
Yeah, so suffice it to say, you certainly have a passion for this work.
I think making sure that each and every single person has a fair shot and has fair opportunity is something I think that like deeply resonates with me. Just going through this, being like broke and like and being like judged on your name, which has no correlation to like a success predictor on the job role. I just feel like there had to be something done, and like, how can we do this on like a massive scale, right? And so that is essentially like when we created Nakri, and we got together with my third co-founder, whose name is Faisal Ahmed, and he's a machine learning scientist, and we got together with an IO psychologist, which is like pretty much in industrial organizational psychologist. And we're extremely science and evidence based.
And when we talk about the bias that exists, Jahanzeb, how much is there? How big of a problem is this?
Unfortunately, it's been a systemic problem, like because it's been going on for so long now. And so, all of us have certain biases that we've grown up with, and those unfortunately come out a lot of the time in these interactions, such as a job hiring process, right? So like, for example, if I'm trying to hire somebody and he went like to the same school as me, and I'm favoring that like versus his or her like skills and the abilities that they can bring or not bring, versus somebody that actually has those, like causes a lot of these problems, right? That's just like one of them is just, trying to hire somebody that looks like you, that maybe talks like you, and just has gone to the same school. And that's why a lot of organizations unfortunately have this very, very like bro culture, and this even like further creates like gender and racial disparities in the workforce.
All right, so do me a favor here and expand just a little bit on Knockery, the work that you guys are doing, and how this work is helping to eliminate bias in AI.
Essentially, what we've built is an asynchronous behavioral video assessment that helps organizations like reduce bias and shortlist the best fit candidates for them to interview. And so a lot of organizations out there, they have a problem with gender and racial disparity. They have a problem with having to effectively and in a scientific manner, like screen thousands of candidates. And so what we've done is that we've built a system like that is completely like void of human biases, and it solely relies on a candidate's skills. And so what this means is that a lot of other vendors out there, they're going to train their AI models on historical data, on historical learnings from the organization, and this can lead to a lot of can of worms. I'm not sure if you've heard about the Amazon story, but they had created a resume screening technology, and unfortunately, they had trained it on historical data from the organization, which was essentially just like kicking out female candidates, because a lot of the hiring managers just hired a lot of males. So if you train your AI technology with historical data that on top of that has showed bias, then that creates a like perpetual problem. And so like what we've done is that we have created like technology that objectively identifies foundational skills in a candidate's interview response. And it's not trained on human interview ratings or on like performance metrics. Like rather, it is built to only identify specific skills within a candidate's interview transcript by just like focusing on the behavior. And the way that we do this is we're just extracting their speech and converting it into text. And that's it. Essentially, that is the highest like predictor of success on the job role, is making sure that the behaviors and the skills of the candidates are actually aligning to the key indicators of success on the job role. And so we have really taken a very like scientific approach on approaching this.
Okay, and just looking down the road, let's say 2 years from now, where do you see AI, and will bias in AI be a thing of the past by then, do you think?
So what I'm going to say is that I think we have definitely made tremendous progress. When we had initially started off a couple of years ago, we saw organizations like that had moved from a state of fear of AI technology to educating themselves and now finally embracing it. And now what we're seeing is that there needs to be a standard of like regulation. And so essentially Nakri as an organization itself is working with several like bodies to make sure that our like technology is not biased. So we are going through an algorithmic audit at the moment because we would like to set that golden standard and make sure that each and every single company, in addition to the great results that we have provided them, algorithmically, they have like full faith in our technology. And I feel like a lot of companies are going to like request this. It's going to be similar to an ISO certification, and that is what we're seeing in the market currently.
All right, and before I let you go, just very curious here, how did you guys come up with the name Knockery? What is the meaning behind it?
So the word Knockery actually means the word job to about 1 billion people. So in 3 different languages, in Urdu, which is the language of Pakistan, Hindi, which is India, and also Punjabi as well, which is India and Pakistan. So that is how we came up with it. It means the word job, and also just knocking on the door of opportunity, right? So that's how we came up with it.
I like that. I like that a lot of meaning there. Certainly very personal to you. Again, Jahanzeb Ansari, thanks for being with me here today. We appreciate all of you watching as well. For much more on bias and AI, what you need to know about AI, make sure you stick with Tech Republic.